As the population continues to grow, we can expect the amount of waste to grow as well. Waste disposal has emerged as more than just removing waste. Removing waste is just the start of the idea. What do we do with the garbage once it is out of the disposer's sight? Americans alone are responsible for producing 220 million tons of waste each year. This number is far more than any other nation in the world. Because of this, the government and corporations have created a method to deal with this problem. Waste management is their solution. Landfills are the most popular method of waste disposal. This process consists of digging massive holes in the ground and dumping everyone's garbage in it. It is not as terrible as it sounds. There is a process used that eliminates odors and dangers before it is put in the ground. With this process comes various contamination problems, as you might expect.
One major effect of landfills is the issue of groundwater pollution. This is a result of leachates. Leachates are the liquid that drains from landfills that eventually leak toxins into freshwater waterways. This is a major issue because these freshwater waterways eventually transfer these toxins to the water we use every day or even the water that we drink.
Incineration and combustion is a method in which solid waste is burned at high temperatures in order to convert it into gaseous products, making more room for more solid waste. The advantage of using this process is that it can reduce more than 20% of all solid waste. Incineration is becoming more popular in countries where there's not enough space for landfills.
The biggest concern about the use of incinerators is the emission of gas. The incineration of waste often leads to the release of gases such as carbon dioxide, which is a big factor of global warming. Other gases that can possibly be released due to waste processing are sulfur dioxide, hydrochloric acid, fine particles, and heavy metals.
Recycling is another method in which certain waste products are produced into new products. The idea behind this method is to reduce the size of landfills, reduce air and water pollutants, and reduce emissions, as well as preserve natural resources.
Recycling does not exactly mean just throwing plastics and glass into the recycling bin. A creative and fun way to recycle is called vertical gardens. People often cut the side of an empty soda bottle and insert small plants. This not only prevents the empty bottles from just becoming more waste, but it also serves as a garden for growing plants.
Plasma glassification allows for solid or liquid waste to be turned into renewable energy and other benefits. In this process, a plasma torch is used to ionize gas, changing waste into synthetic gas and solid waste known as slag.
E-waste is the issue of disposing of electronics. These electronics contain heavy metals and potentially toxic substances. To prevent an uncontrollable amount of e-waste, we must only buy the things we need and then recycle the ones we have now. In order to recycle these unused electronics, there are events that accept the donations of unwanted electronics. This includes computers, cell phones, and TVs.
Composting is primarily used for organic farming. In this method, remains of plants, gardens, and kitchen waste is turned into fertile soil for plants. Composting is one of the best forms of waste disposal because it can turn unsafe products into safe compost.
One major concern is the improper disposal of hazardous materials. Often people do not properly dispose of flammable materials, causing garbage trucks to explode. Hazardous materials can also be corrosive and eat away at substances or even cause issues for animals and humans, such as birth defects or cancer.
Waste to energy consists of a variety of processes that ultimately converts non-recyclable items into heat, electricity, or fuel. It is a positive form of waste disposal because it reduces the amount of carbon emissions.
Carbon emissions can be reduced by reducing the use of fossil fuels. This can be done by using more fuel-efficient cars and appliances and improving building insulation. Conservation is also another way to decrease carbon emissions. This can occur if we simply turn off lights or electronics when they are not in use.
The easiest form of waste disposal is minimizing the amount of waste. By reusing old products like plastic bags or reusing them can limit a large quantity of plastic waste. If everyone participates and reduces their amount of waste, there wouldn't exist a problem. Each person does not have to change their lives completely to make a dent in the process of waste management. By simply reducing the amount of waste produced by your own person, everyone can make a huge impact and clean up our land as well as our air. The two best forms of disposal are recycling and composting. The downside of composting is that it can only be done on a small scale because it takes a longer period of time. Recycling could be more effective if we recycled more recyclable items. 75% of solid waste is recyclable, but only 30% of that is actually reused.
Open dumping is another well-known way of disposing of waste, although open dumping is not permitted. Open dumping is the disposal of waste such as tires, appliances, shingles, pipes, household trash, or metals in an open area of land left to rust, burn, or rot. Open dumping is a very bad way of disposing because not only does it smell bad and look disgusting, but it also threatens water sources as well as provides an open area covered in shards of metal, needles, and explosives that allows breeding of unwanted rats or mosquitoes. Overall, the waste disposal in our world today calls for a lot of improvement. There are pros and cons to every way of disposal. Although we have to find a way to dispose of this waste, we also need to find a way to prevent it from harming our planet any more than we already have. In the end, it comes down to not spending so much time trying to find ways to get rid of all this waste, but rather spend all this time and effort in producing less waste.